Marcos Diary. January 1, 1970. Yesterday I finally transferred all of my worldly possessions to the Filipino people through the Ferdinand D. Marcos Foundation. I have been planning this for many years, but I felt that the beginning of my Sen term was the most propitious time. This was a decision arrived at after a long deliberation and was not the result of pique, anger, despair or emotion, nor is it due to a sense of guilt because some of the funds come from the Yamashita treasure, nor is it just a political stunt. I have no further political plans. And it seems a burden has been lifted from my shoulders. The surprising thing is that the reaction of the people seemed to be of no consequence to me. It was a noble act waiting to be done. I feel I am above all the pettiness of men and I look down on them with some contempt but with a counterbalance of understanding. Attachment. Statement of President Ferdinand Marcos on disposition of his worldly goods through the Marcos Foundation. December 31, 1969. Draft. I have today given away by general instrument of transfer all my worldly possessions to the Filipino people, though a foundation to be organized known as a Marcos Foundation. Moved by the strongest desire and the purest will to set the example of self-denial and self-sacrifice for all our people, I have today decided to give away all my worldly possessions so that they may serve the greater needs of the greater number of our people. It is my wish that these properties will be used in advancing education, science, technology and arts. This act I undertake of my own free will, knowing that my need of material possessions will, having always been a simple man, my needs will always be lesser than those of many of our people, who have given me the highest honor within their gift, an honor unshared by any one of my predecessors and not likely to be shared by anyone else in the future, no other Filipino leader. Since about a year ago, I have asked my closest my closest confidants to study the mechanics of this decision. Today's studies have been completed, and a foundation will be formed to administer these properties and all funds that may be generated therefrom. My wife, Imelda, is in agreement with this decision. Provisions will be made for my children, so that they shall be assured of satisfactory education and be prepared to meet their lifetime duties and endeavors. For the moment, my most sincere hope is that this humble act shall set the example and move to greater deeds of unselfishness and compassion. Many of our countrymen whose position on society gives them a stronger duty to minister to the needs of our less fortunate brothers and countrymen. PFM. Marcos Diary. January 3, 1970. Some people ask me why I have given away my earthly possessions. I invariably answer that I did not need them but that the people did. But I have been asking myself, why has the world become so vile, so materialistic, so dirty? All is pragmatism, selfish and unedifying. Why is there no more tenderness, all sex? Why is there no more charity, all malice? Even the clergy has become self-centered. They do not sacrifice for sacrifice's sake, but for self-glorification, like the 7 bishops who had their appeal to me published in the front pages of the metropolitan dailies. If their motivation was sincere change, they could have come to me first, but they sought publicity first. The worst part is their premises were all false. I hope, from ignorance not malice. During the war, in some critical phase of a battle, I always asked myself what could I do which others dare not do and which would change the tide of battle. Now after the 1965 elections I kept asking myself this until I decided that giving my properties to the people was the answer. This would be exemplary. No one else dares to do it. It will change the tide of the times. Instead of pragmatism, compassion. Instead of words, deeds. Instead of self, the nation and humanity. And I gather this has been the effect in the capitals of the world. Satisfying, but I must exert effort so I am not myself dragged into self-glorification. I remember after the war I concealed everything about my medals. I wish I could do a similar anonymity now. I'm collecting the reactions to my disposal of all my possessions to the people. Some are sanctimonious, supercilious, patronizing. Amy loves to repeat this newly discovered words, frauds. I fear for our country. There is not one among the younger generation whom we can build up as president. Among the nacionalistas, Puat and Lopez are too old, Tolentino has a background of promiscuity, Diano is self-centered and lacks humanity. Among the liberals, Roxas is a weakling, Aquino is a congenital liar, a braggart and a compulsive chatterbox, Magsaysay is brainless, Salonga is petty, pompous, sanctimonious fraud. My life has been devoted to the upliftment of the Filipino by establishing his identity and dignity. Ferdinand D. Marcos.